Welcome to Grief Sucks, Life After Loss, where we talk all things grief. Thanks for being with us today, and we hope you enjoy this episode. We're back. Andrea is joining me again today because she loves to come visit me. And we're going to talk about the break. Much needed. I think the last episode that I put out was in April. I didn't anticipate taking this long of a break, but it is what it is, and I'm back. We'll see how it goes.
We have you. We're happy that you're back.
So life was just lifing, and I feel like I should have probably podcasted through it all to share, but instead I just kind of shut down because
Were you journaling?
Yeah, that's just where I was, mentally exhausted, I guess. It got the best of me. There was a lot going on that I feel like I wasn't supposed to be going through by myself. I wasn't supposed to be the one handling the things. Or, for instance, Michaela bought her first house. And her first, she bought her first brand new 2024 car. And then within, I think, a month, she bought her first house. And I'm like,
those are big milestones.
Big. And I think that's kind of, I was kind of falling into a funk before that. I think she did that in May. Also, May was KJ's birthday. So it was just a lot going on in that month. And I just kept thinking, and she didn't say it, but I'm sure she wished he was there and, was thinking about all the things and how he would handle things. And he and I definitely handled things differently.
Yeah.
And he would have been all right there. And my back was fucked up. So I was limited on what I could do, and I was all in my feelings, and I was like, I can drive a truck, but I can't move anything. And in my mind, it was a fucking disaster because I'm just like, mentally, I wanted to do all the things to help her, but I was limited, and I just felt some type of way.
Yep.
She was fine, and a friend reached out, and they're like, you're a great mom, and she understands all the things. I was like, but that's great to hear, but I just don't feel that way. So that was rough. And then KJ's birthday, normally we have a cookout every year, and I just wasn't feeling it. I just couldn't do it this year. Dylan does his memorial ride around KJ's birthday, so I went to that. And they do it for a weekend or whatnot. I went and stayed for the day, and that was great. But when it came to doing anything outside of that, I'm like, I guess I was in my feelings because I'm like, can y'all just drive out here, spend some hours and support? You know what I'm saying? It's just always the same handful of people. And then I'm like, I just don't want to throw something big at the house. I don't know. I didn't feel like peopling, I guess, or I felt some type of way about people.
Yep. I get that.
That sometimes I only see maybe just on that day or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, we're just going to skip that. And we went to dinner instead with the kids and Christy and Alexander, and that was fine for that. And then it was time for Dylan to get his learner's permit, which I was not supposed to be the one to teach the kids how to drive. Because my anxiety does not like that. And I didn't teach Michaela how to drive. So here we was, learner permit. I'm horrible. I've rode with him 2 or 3 times. It's a community effort around here.
Hey,
thank God for Christy and Ronnie, because they have definitely helped with that. And it's not that I don't want to, but my anxiety just kicks in some days. And then you have that feeling of, I wasn't supposed to be the one. Why aren't you here to do this? And all those feelings surrounding that. I don't know. Just all together brings down a fucking mental bog. And then how do you handle it?
Yeah, I get that. And it's hard whenever you want to be around people, but on the same page, just 2 lines down, you don't want anyone around you.
No.
You don't want anyone to look at you. You don't want anyone to think about you. Just fucking leave me alone and pretend that I don't exist, because that's how I feel right now.
Yeah. Yep. And that was kind of our anniversary was last weekend, last Sunday would have been our anniversary. And I'm like, made a post Friday, and I'm like, day of, don't speak to me, don't talk to me, don't text me, don't bring it up, don't nothing. I'm going to sit in my house and I'm not going to do shit. And that is that. I just couldn't do it that day. So hopefully I don't know. I think once you get in that state, it's hard to pull out of.
Yeah.
And I'm not out of it. I'm still trying to figure out how to fucking climb my way out. And, even through all of this, some days you feel like you're great, you're good, and it could be weeks, it could be months, it could be a fucking year, and then suddenly something happened and you're like, bam, you're just
Mhm.
fucking down and in this fog and you're stuck. You don't know how to fucking get out of it. And I said, I still don't know how to get out of it. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to wake up and life and see how I feel that day and what I can get done and hope that someday life will be totally normal every day. But is that a
Yeah.
thing?
Right. I mean, I was going through some old journal prompts the other day. And I had written out something. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so smart. I give out such good advice. Life is one of those precious gifts that on some level everyone understands, some more than others. Sometimes you become hyper aware of just how fragile everything we touch or feel truly is, the people we know and how they intertwine in our daily lives, knowing that at any point they can just be gone.
Life is short. That's for sure.
I woke up. I've been having really bad insomnia lately. And like I'll go lay down at 9 o'clock and it'll still be 4 in the morning and I'm wide awake, haven't fallen asleep yet. Trying not to look at my phone, trying not to hit my babe, trying just to fucking
Go to
just be
sleep.
asleep. Just let your body relax. That's what it needs. And like I can't turn it off. And then it occurred to me like while I was going through all my whatever's in my brain, I was like, oh shit, I don't hear Thomas snoring. Is he alive? So I whap him on the back and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, all right, I didn't hear you breathing. Sorry. Should have been not aggressive.
He must have that Carter thing because I remember KJ used to do that, and I'd be like,
Like, you okay?
if he didn't like start snorting, and I smack this shit out of
Yes.
him.
Yeah. I'm like,
If you're not snoring, you're not breathing.
exactly. Yeah, I've had some weird like PTSD flashbacks coming back lately. So that's been interesting. Some from my mom, some from the lake. Um, with us going on our cruise coming up in November. I'm excited about it, but I'm also very nervous. I'm trying not like I've never done a cruise, so
Oh, I didn't know that.
I am trying not to let myself build up expectations for what it's going to be like so that when my feelings do come, because they're going to, just being
Mm-hmm.
water, that's going to happen to me. I want to be able to process it as clearly as I can without being like, oh, okay, well, I already, in my head, this is going to happen. And now I've decided that this is going to be my reaction. And this is how everyone else is going to react. And,
So
I just go through that anxiety spiral response of, okay, let me figure everything out so that I can control what's going to happen to me. So I've been talking to my therapist a lot about that lately. He
is
suggests
it is it because of the incident at home, or is it something else?
I think that's most of it. I started getting weird about water a couple of years before that.
Okay.
We were on a vacation and it was Emma's first time at the ocean with us. And Thomas was up in the condo working on the balcony, and we were down at the beach with some friends of ours. And Emma and my niece were like ankle deep in the water, you know, just playing in the ocean. And then they just slowly kind of got out a little bit further. Emma got stuck in a riptide and
Oh,
didn't know what to do, couldn't get out. So I'm just flying in. I was like, okay, the ocean's going to take us both today. If you're going to take one, you're
I
taking
think just take one. Yeah.
two. Like, all right. Like, I don't think so. I'm not just letting my kid just continually go out further and further. Like, that piece to me was so scary, thinking that the water was going to take her away from me.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later,
Yep.
that happened. And then I'm thankful that it wasn't her, which also feels selfish to say, but it doesn't make it hurt any less,
No, absolutely not.
you know?
Absolutely not.
So my therapist on Friday, we had a discussion and he was like, because over the summer, I did as much getting into the water and putting myself, immersive therapy basically, putting myself
Mhm.
in situations that I knew were going to be more higher anxiety for me. And I was able to do it a couple of times this summer and felt okay about it. And then he had asked me if I'd been down at our lake. And I was like, no, I don't go down there. And he was like, you don't go down there or you can't go down there. I was like, no, I just don't. And he was like, okay, well, like, what if you went down there and did like a meditation or just kind of spent some time there by the water and just kind of let yourself feel what you need to feel? So I did that on Sunday. And I don't know what I expected to get out of that, but I don't think I've been right since.
I say, did you get something out of it?
I don't know. I mean, I told myself I forgave her, or I forgive myself for not being able to find her,
Mm-hmm.
not being able to do what I feel like my duties were. But I don't know if I meant it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's a hard situation. And I would probably done felt the fucking thing with dirt. And like, I don't know that I could do it. My whole house might have been up for sale. I don't know. That's a tough ass situation to deal with. And then have to walk out of your house every day and see that spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just,
I sat on the dock and like I really wanted to put my feet in the water because it was really nice out on Sunday. And it was warm enough, but still like kind of fall warm.
mhm.
Like I dipped my finger in the water and I was like, okay, the water temperature isn't that bad. And I tried to put my feet in. And as soon as my toes hit the water, I instantly got a pain like in my heart. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I made myself sit down there for 30 minutes. And I listened to like a trauma meditation of some kind, and like
Yeah,
release your shit, you know? There were a lot of tears, a lot of tears.
that's
But
probably going to happen for
oh, yeah.
a long time. You know,
I
that's
talked
such,
to her mom yesterday and just kind of seeing how she's doing and stuff. And I was telling her about, I was like, so she had mentioned to me that she was afraid that at some point her therapist was going to suggest to her to come out,
together.
to the property and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I don't go down there either. And then that was, a previous conversation that she and I had had. And so I told her, I was like, well, if I ever make it down there, and do it. I'll let you know how it goes. And so whenever I saw her, I was like, so I did it. It was really, really difficult, but I think I'll probably end up putting myself in the situation to do it a couple of more times before we go. Just I think my heart needs it, if that makes sense.
I think your heart needs it, period. Not just before your cruise or whatnot. And on the cruise side of it, I don't have the water trauma, but I'm not a water girl. Like, I don't swim well. I don't even all the fucking 13 years ago into the lake for the first probably 10, maybe 9. I didn't get in the water. I set my ass on that boat and I get in the water. My kids were in there. I'm, fucking looking all around, make sure I know where the kids are at all times. When we would go into Party Cove, my fucking anxiety would get so high. And when I did start getting in the water, my ass had a life jacket on every damn time. I'm good. I just something about it. When it comes to the ocean, I don't get in the ocean. I need to sit next to it and hear it, smell
Mm-hmm.
it, and
Mm-hmm.
look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to getting in it, I don't need to be swept away. And I sure as fuck don't need to know what the hell is in there because I
Yeah.
am scared of any critters in the ocean. Look, I want to see the dolphins from afar, and that's it. Being on a cruise ship, though, something about it, but same as sitting on a beach at the ocean, something about it just soothes my soul.
Mm-hmm.
There's just
That's what I'm
peace.
hoping for. I'm hoping that it will bring me the peace that I need from the water, if that makes sense.
I hope it does for you like it does me because there's just something I can just sit on the balcony and just listen, watch. And this last cruise we went in August, we did get lucky and there was dolphins float like kind of chasing the boat. They were staying
Yeah.
in the tides and stuff, so that was really cool to see. But I mean, there's walls up on
Mhm.
that are tall, so there's nobody that you can't really fall over a fucking
Right.
cruise ship.
Yeah. And like that's not my concern. I don't really know. No, I do know what my concern is, that I won't be able to see land. That at some point I'm going to realize, oh fuck, I can't get back to where I just came from because I'm stuck and I'm not in control.
I think though, you guys, your ship has a lot going on. So I mean, you don't have to go outside if you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to. There's plenty of stuff on there for you to do and see, and shows and food and games and all of that. But sorry, you do have a balcony room, so you got the ocean outside your door.
That's fine. That was one of the things that I was like, look, if I'm going to be on this boat and I'm going to be like, if I'm going to be scared of being on this boat, I at least want a pretty, I don't want like a porthole that's this big.
I can't do that because then my anxiety really kick in and I can't, like, I would feel claustrophobic. I can't personally cruise without, I have to have a balcony. I don't care how much extra it is. I need a balcony. It makes it feel roomier. It just makes it feel, I don't know, it gives me more peace, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
However you want to explain it, but it works for me and I won't. I've thought about it and I was like, no, it's cheaper, but I'm good. I'll pay for my balcony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we will actually
Like
be,
one full day at sea. So I don't think it'll be that bad. And that's on the way back. And then we have Emma's soccer tournament as soon as we get back. That's in Florida for 5 days. So,
oh, it is in Florida?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to be gone for 10 days.
Well, that's great. What part of Florida is her soccer tournament in?
Like the same area.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. It just kind of worked out that way.
So we'll be in Miami. I think we port 2 days before you guys do.
Oh, really? Okay. Where are
Yeah.
you guys going?
We're porting out of Miami. I'm taking my best friend. She also has never been on a ship and she also has very high anxiety. So we're driving to Miami and Virgin is doing a travel agent thing for like it's 2 days, but it ends up being like a day and a half and we're really not going anywhere. So it's perfect for her to
Yeah. It's like a
jump
trip
on and
there kind of thing.
yeah. So it's perfect for her to see if this is something she can do, enjoys doing, or whatever for that amount of time. So hopefully you both do really well and the ocean soothes you because we all need that.
Yes. I've always been like a water person, anyways. Like, that's my go to for comfort. Like, I love floating in my bathtub, being in water in general, but it took me several months after the incident that before I felt like I could even get into my tub that I trusted myself to
Mm-hmm.
sit in it. And I don't know what, I still don't fully understand what that was about. I don't know if that was because I was afraid I was going to do something to myself or if I was afraid that the water was going to do something to me or what.
But all the fears, I mean, with something like that happening, just so many fears of the what ifs. I mean,
Yeah.
all legit shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are things that we think of when we go through traumas, and I think a death a death is bad, but when it's traumatic, it
Yeah.
hits us differently. I think every stage of death hits us in a different type of way, and
Yeah.
with that one, I mean, it's yeah. I would be scared of the water, and I would fill in the big ass pond and all the things, like that just makes us do weird shit and
Yeah.
think about things differently.
Mm-hmm. Like, I know that it's not the property's fault, and that's why we still live there.
It's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
Sometimes tragic shit happens to us,
Yeah.
and it's out of our control.
That's very true.
But I also think it's hard for us to realize that when it happens to us.
Yeah. I've been doing research for the last, I guess, probably once after my mom died. I started diving, really deep into my childhood bullshit that I was still holding on to and carrying
Mm-hmm.
forward and trying to make sure that I'm letting go of some of that baggage and stuff like that. And like, I've seen immense growth in the last 4 years since my mom has been gone. But at the same token, it makes me wonder that if she was still here, if I would have gotten this far in it, because I would have felt the need to talk to her about it and hear her rebuttal and hear her side of the story on what it was for her. And then it would have confused things, I think.
It would have been different. Your healing would have been different. The way you reacted to everything would be different.
I think because my mom isn't here to give me her side of things, I'm able to take what I remember and my feelings towards things at face value for what they are or
Hmm.
what I believe them to be.
Right. And it sucks to think that maybe the healing is easier this way or better this way after a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's many times I think, well, if KJ was still alive, would this have happened, or would that have happened, or would I have this opportunity or that opportunity? And then I'm like, well, damn, did he have to die for
Mm-hmm.
this, or just all the things? It's all just fucked up, and
Yeah.
things that are always, I think, pop up and in the back of our mind is, I don't
Yeah.
know. I try hard not to do the why or the what if, because I think that just eats at you. But there are times definitely that I think about that.
Yeah. I find that when I get stuck in those loops of, I guess, feeling the feeling the tragedy over again, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
like the rawness of what happened, I try and make myself feel gratitude for how much I've grown and
Yeah.
make my like I don't I'm not the type of person that sits around and thinks about my accomplishments or thinks that I'm great at much of anything.
Yeah,
That's
I feel that.
just not who I
I'm
am.
the
I'm just like,
same.
"Oh, okay, I'm just me." And
Yeah,
either that's
I'm just
cool,
here doing the best I can.
I'm a fucking
Yeah, I get
disaster.
that.
Welcome to it.
Yep.
And so I'm just like, "Oh, well, like, no, I got through it." And then sometimes I'll talk to other people that are maybe going through something, similar or that I feel like I can relate to them on, and they're like you like that's how you got to where you are? And I'm like, yeah. And like, on your own? I was like, I guess. I don't know.
Other people, I think, when they hear some of the things you've been through and how you've came out of it, are surprised. And my like, I don't know. Everybody say, I don't know how you do it, and I'm like, what was the fucking other option?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
What was I supposed to do? Like, I didn't have another option. And you don't know how you do it until you have to fucking do it.
hmm yeah, you just have to keep the momentum going and stop for small breaks. You can't
Oh,
stop
for
for too
sure.
long. Once you get
100%.
once you get the momentum going, you can't stop for too long because
No, because when you do, you're down, you're down, you're down. And that's a big part of my problem is I'll be on a good one and then I'll stop.
mhm,
And even if you just stop for a day, I mean, your
yeah,
little breaks got to be little breaks. If you just stop for one day, it's like it's hard some days to get back in that
yeah.
flow.
Like I felt myself probably since Wednesday of last week. So yeah, almost a full week that I've been in a mood of some kind where I feel foul. Like I
Hmm.
feel like all my filter is not going to be stopping much. You're going to be hearing a whole lot of honesty. Be careful what you ask for. And I try very hard to think about the things that I say to people and how I say them because my internal knee jerk reaction is typically really harsh and very like slit someone's throat if I don't agree with what you're doing or how you're handling something. And I'm like, okay, but how can they receive the information? So I have to back myself
Yeah.
a little bit and be like, okay, this is what works for them.
Well,
But
now you're peopling more. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
really have to think about that aspect and how you handle the people because now you're running a business and all the things.
yeah. On the days when I'm having when I can tell that I'm having a day and I don't feel like my energy is its normal bubbly
Hmm.
fun self, like I feel bad for bringing that not only into my salon, but I feel bad putting my hands on my clients because I
Hmm.
feel like I'm transferring that negativity that whatever is going on with me, that I'm transferring that to them.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. So in those moments, I try and make sure that I'm like, look, this isn't about you. This isn't about whatever's going on in your world right now. This is about what the project that you're working on right this second. And we're going to focus on that. And after that's done and completed, if you still have these feelings, you're going to give yourself 20 minutes. And that's as long as you're going to spend dwelling on this today. And then anytime because 20 minutes is never long enough.
I say, does that work for you?
20 minutes is never long enough. But once, like, I'll set a timer. And once that timer goes off and my brain starts like trying to squirrel off,
What do you do in those 20 minutes?
I just let myself feel and think about whatever's feeling heavy to me. I let myself actually, like, okay, don't judge yourself for what you're thinking. Don't judge yourself for what you're feeling. Like, what is it? And then trying to really narrow down what that feeling is to see if I'm feeling it anywhere else other than just where is it just this past week? Like, what triggered this for me? What happened? As soon as I can figure that out, then I can be like, okay, now we have a pattern and now we know what to look out for.
Yeah, I would have to be journaling and writing all that down because I couldn't. Like, I would just feel like it's all just floating here, and it's still here. So I need to write it down to put it away.
It's right in here. Yeah, I do have bouts of journaling. I'm a lot more. I come off a lot clearer when I actually journal and sit down and think things out all the way. Like, I tried to have a conversation with Thomas a couple nights ago, and he was like, "You're not making any sense." And I was like, "Okay." Well,
when it's all jumbled in your brain, though, it's like when you're having an argument with somebody. And you guys probably do it the same because Thomas and KJ was the same in a lot of ways. If we had a big argument, it was hard to argue with them because I'd be so pissed. And his comeback would always be like this meticulous, thought out, smart fucking thing that would piss you off.
Sarcasm.
That would piss you off. And so it's like,
anything
I was saying wasn't making fucking sense because I was so mad and he was coming up with this bullshit.
Yep.
So yeah, when it's all built up, you can't get it out the right way. I cannot.
Yeah.
I'm not that person that can. I give it to the people that can because I can't. I better just sit down and think about it, write it down or something, because if I say it, if I get it out the right way, it's going to come off so bitchy that nobody wants to speak to me for a while.
Yeah. I think I've buried that bitchiness piece of me down really, really deep. It used to be very surface level. And I felt like for the most part, it was a defense mechanism that I was using. And then that began to feel very inauthentic at some point. So I decided, like, okay, well, I can say what I need to say without trying to hurt people's feelings or trying to be like, no, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why can't you see it the way that I see it?
No, I get that. I totally used to be that way. And I think it comes as age too, because now I'm like, stuff that I would argue with or argue about.
Yeah, it's not worth my time.
Like, I don't even care. Just keep going. If you heard it, believe it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, I don't argue with nobody over anything. I need peace in my world nowadays, and I'll get it at all costs. Like, I will avoid you, like, whatever it takes. If you're too dramatic, I'm going to need you to stay out of my life. Like, I don't have the energy to be the person that I used to be, if that makes sense. But like you said, a defense mechanism, yes, because my prior relationship to KJ, I had to have those walls up. I had to be that bitch. And I had to make sure that I took care of me and my daughter, and at all costs, no matter what. Yeah. So I definitely had those walls up, especially when KJ and I first got together. I was mean.
I mean, like,
I was so mean.
It throws people off when I flip that switch because that's not my normal anymore. And they're like, we went to a wedding on Saturday and I was just in a mood. I just was. And the wedding was weird. There were a lot of rules. Nothing was on time. The food was bad. The DJ was bad. I was happy to see my people. Okay. I was happy to see my people. But like, I was in line for the bar and I was standing there by myself, and it was kind of a long line. So I was just resting face. And then finally I got my drink and I was trying to walk back to my seat. And then all these chairs are like pulled out from the tables. And, there's like 30 tables in this venue with 8 to 10 chairs around them. And they're all pushed out because everyone's just up talking to everyone, which is, that's fine. It's cocktail hour. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But push your chair in like a human. And so one of my friends was, our table was over in a corner and their table was like, there was one other in between us. And she sent me a message and was like, "Your resting face today." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I gotta change it." So she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so."
You're like, even if I smile at this point, it's not going to change my face.
Exactly.
My face is just it.
Is this better?
Right. That was a little bit scary. Don't do that.
Oh man. But it's like, that dead look behind your eyes where like you have no emotion and you
Yeah.
have no fucks left to give.
Yep.
And it's funny to me when people recognize that on my face because I'm like, okay, I probably need to tend to this. But then I don't know where to go from there.
Right. Like, how do you fix that?
Yeah.
How do you get out of that?
I screamed in my car. I don't know if
Sometimes
that
that
was
helps.
helpful.
I mean, yeah, sometimes.
I ended up kind of getting out of my mood towards the end of the evening, and I was fine the next morning. And then I came in, I did a client on Sunday, and then I did my meditation after that. And after that, I've just been meh ever since.
How often do you meditate?
I try and do a meditation daily and like during the day, and then I meditate at night before I go to sleep. I usually listen to some type of like wind down meditation that then leads into like frequency noises of some kind.
Uh-huh.
So
Do you think it helps?
I
I
think
mean,
some,
obviously, you're still doing it.
yeah. I mean, I think when I'm able to actually get my brain to shut off and really do the meditation, yes, it is helpful and it works and typically makes me feel better after I've done it.
I did it early
Where it's
on.
just really hard to make your brain like stop. Like a guided meditation work for me. If I'm doing just meditation music, I can function in my daily life to meditation music. That doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me sleepy or anything. It just is background noise to me. It will put me into more of like, oh, I want to be thinking about this or this or this. And then I'll get stuck in like an overthinking loop sometimes.
It's hard to shut off for me, it's hard to shut off my brain to meditate. I did it early on after KJ passed. But I can't. The easiest for me was using the Oculus because there was a meditation program that actually like took you to the
Yeah,
beach
took you there,
and
yeah.
explained the things, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can do that. So I was trying. I did that like first thing in the morning for a while, and then for whatever reason, I just quit doing it. And I think routine is a big part of my issue too, is because I don't stick to a routine, and when I do, my life is more. I feel more organized. I feel better about everything.
Yeah.
And I think that helps keep me from a funk. But for whatever fucking reason, my brain just blocks.
Yeah.
I guess the receptor that makes me fucking do that every single day to stick to a routine. I'm like, I know I need to do it. I know how I feel when I do it. I know that it's better for me. But why the fuck can I do it? Why can I not do it? I struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done quite a bit of research on different ways to remap your neural pathways, and there's been a lot of there's a lot of documentation out there that is starting to get traction about doing like psilocybin treatment for trauma.
What is psilocybin?
So psilocybin is basically magic mushrooms, but the idea is, okay, if you think of if you're at the top of a mountain and you're skiing, and there's already runs down the mountain because there's tons of people that have already gone down before you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the pathways that your brain has already created based off of learned behaviors and things that you've gone through. So typically leading up to this, there's a therapy aspect of like figuring out what you're trying to get out of this mushroom trip. And you make a lot of notes and you have a facilitator, someone that knows about the medicine, knows about what's going on with you, what your struggles are, that kind of stuff. And then they basically babysit you while you're going through after you take the mushrooms. Sometimes some people eat them, sometimes they're capsules, sometimes it's tea. It just depends on what people's preferences are. But what it does is basically, from the research I've done anyways, it puts down a fresh blanket of snow over all of those pathways that you've already created, so that now you can try and create your own brand new pathways or newer pathways, so that when this, and this happens, you don't land over here anymore. You land here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but can we do that without tripping balls?
Well, so the idea isn't necessarily to trip balls. The idea is to allow yourself to enter your subconscious and figure it out. Figure out what's actually holding you back.
That sounds intriguing and scary as fuck at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know that that's something I could actually sign myself up to do.
I've been,
You've
like I
been
said,
looking at it.
I've been looking at it. There is a company my brother has been telling me about, a facility that is somewhere, I think West Coast. I don't remember exactly the location, but they facilitate this stuff for people. And he had an experience, and it was really really positive for him. My brother and I grew up in the same household, so I know some of the things that he went
Yeah.
through and whatnot. But at the same token, like, he went into the military when he was 18, and that was in 2004, right before 9/11 happened. He was in
Yeah,
basic.
that's a whole another type of traumas.
Yeah. So then he went from, being an awful, terrible, bad kid at home all the time, always getting in trouble, to, all right, let's fuck shit up. We're here to regulate and
Yeah.
all of this. And then, at some point you get out of the military, and then you have to figure out how to live civilian life
Mm-hmm.
after all of those things that
You've seen and
you've
did.
seen and done and experienced, and not really given the time or the tools to
I
deal
help
with it.
with that.
Like, it's no wonder things happen to military people the way that they do. That's
Yeah.
very sad.
It's crazy. So he did this. What are we calling it? An experiment.
Journey.
Journey. Okay, we're gonna call it a journey. He did this journey and it helped him.
It did, yeah. So it was a 2-day thing. Like, he flew out to wherever this place was. Prior to that, he had done a lot of therapy sessions and things like that, different courses, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of internal personal work prior to. And then he had all of his intentions set out, and he had his person that was there to help him as he was going through it. And he's when I talked to him, his first session was on a Saturday, and I talked to him that evening, and he was like, I'm really happy that I did it.
Oh,
He's like,
good.
I felt so much peace in a way that I've never been able to feel it before. He's like, I didn't realize how much I hated myself, or, like, how much I was putting on myself for doing the things that I've done. That, of
Mm-hmm.
course, you're trained from an infant, like, you don't hurt people.
Yeah.
Society trains you don't do these things. But in reality, there are people that are allowed to do these things, and if you don't give them the tools to help themselves,
Mm-hmm.
how was that piece missed? Like, that's a huge oversight to me.
Yeah, it's bizarre how they don't have the support that is needed in those situations. But I'm glad that that journey helped him, in a sense, to get some peace, and hopefully that helps him move forward in a manner that feels good for him.
Yeah. It's like, I mentioned to my therapist about, like, okay, so this is something I've done a lot of my own personal research on it, like, based off of what you know about me, where I'm at in my healing, and what I constantly every 2 weeks come in and talk to
Yeah.
you about, basically, because I feel like it's along the same lines usually. I feel like we're
Yeah.
just somewhat having the same conversations. Like, would this benefit me in any way? He said it would be worth at least a try. Um, as far as like we would have to do a lot more sessions leading up to getting me there if
Yeah.
that's something that I decide to do.
Yeah, because I think you would have to mentally be prepared
Yeah. Because realistically,
for
like,
something like that.
yeah, because it's going to change you. You know that going into
Yeah.
it. Like, medication in general, like you take a Tylenol, it changes how you feel. Doing this to me just feels like it is. I'm hopeful that if I ever decide to do it, that it brings me as much peace as it has from the other people that I've talked to that have done it. Like, my brother's not the only person that I've talked to that has done it. There's been others too. But I think that it can go down a bad road if you let it.
Yeah, I think there's a huge chance for
Like,
that as well.
there's a point of dabbling in medicines to get what you need out of it, and then there's a point of playing in the medicine to escape from reality. And I don't ever want that, like, if I choose to do that, I don't ever want it to be thought of as, oh, she needed a break from her reality. But maybe that's what it is. Like, if my
First
reality is
of all,
fucked up in my head.
First of all, though, if it's something you chose to do, it's something nobody needs to fucking know about. B, it's none of their business. So, I mean, as I keep saying, through these journeys, we do what is best for us to get through. We all deal with things differently. Me personally, scared to death of any chemical shit going in my body.
I get it.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't help, and it doesn't mean that it's not beneficial to people. But again, none of nobody's business.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it helps you, then that's all that matters. We're just all fucking out here winging it, trying to heal ourselves and
To people
do
too.
what fits.
I don't know that I would be able to, like, be like, oh my God, this happened.
And that's fine. You tell whoever you want. I'm just making a
Like,
general statement.
yeah, I'm just like, I just know how I am with some people. I'd be like, oh, so this happened.
And that's fine. I mean, you want to tell the world. Maybe it'll help somebody else. Same reason we sit on this podcast and talk about all the randomness is because
Maybe someone else has thought about
maybe our stories will relate to somebody. I mean,
maybe
that's why we share.
it's true. There's all kinds of help out there that is not everybody's cup of tea.
Non-conventional. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether that's therapy for some people or fucking mushrooms, I guess. You gotta do whatever's right for you.
Hey, I know people that do it and they love it. Just saying.
Personally, I am after just fixing my brain. That's all I'm after. I just want it to be a little bit more normal in here.
I just want to think differently.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, if it would work. And like a part of me is scared of it because I know it's going to change. Putting something like that in your body is definitely going to change your thought process. It's going to change how you see things going forward.
Is it expensive?
So I go to this meditation group usually once a month, and she does retreats.
Mm-hmm.
And I think depending on kind of where they're at, they range from like $600 to $1,000.
Very good.
So she did one last fall that was at Patoka Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back with, because I'm curious about it, so of course I'm asking her all the questions and everything. She's a wealth of knowledge, that's for sure.
Well, that's handy to have, though.
Yeah, and she's understands the need to, like, when you're going through the journey, you don't necessarily want to talk about everything all at once versus afterwards you need to decompress, and having somebody there to decompress the things that you saw and you felt and you still feel and that felt so real to you, and that kind of stuff. I feel like that's such a big part of it, is having somebody there that is in a sober mindset
to soak it all in.
To be like, okay, so this is what you went into this trying to get out of it. And this is what you're saying now.
Yeah.
So, trying to helping you come to your own conclusion, I guess.
Yeah, because it doesn't do any good if you can't get rid of all the thoughts in your mind, or
Yeah.
you can't share whatever it was that you experienced. You can't just linger with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because then at that point, it did no good.
Yeah. You probably fucked yourself up more.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That was not the goal.
It's weird. Like the psychedelic medicine, the research of that got stopped early on. And the people that they were testing on, a lot of them were, you know, military members and things like that. If they weren't, I don't know enough to say how the process was, but back then it makes
Mhm.
sense in my brain to imagine that people weren't concerned about, like, well, what are you trying to get out of this? Just because we've been given different tools and gained more knowledge over time and all of that kind of stuff.
Lots to ponder today.
I know.
All right. Well, we are coming up on about an hour, so we're going to wrap it
Perfect.
up. We have excited to say we have a lot of guests coming on with a variety of different stories, not just deaths. So I'm super excited about that, from divorces to losses to what would have been, and then we got hit with an illness, or just so many different amazing stories that they will be sharing. So super, super excited about that. And of course, I appreciate you jumping on with me anytime I text you and say, hey, let's do it, and sharing all your randomness while I share mine.
Yeah, I'm full of it. So absolutely. I'm
I
always
think,
working on something.
I think we pair well together when it comes to this.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, and we will see you later.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for
You too.
having me. See ya.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. If you would like to join us on Facebook, you can find us at Grief Sucks Life After Loss. And if you would like to share your story with us, you can email us at griefsuckslifeafterloss@gmail.com.